Farrell, running on the Republican ticket.
People here today who are interested in the future of democracy. As was said, I'm Jerry Farrell. I'm the Republican candidate for Secretary of State. Many of you may know me as the Commissioner of Consumer Protection over the last 4 years. You've seen me on television warning about many of the things that we all as citizens need to watch out for. Why is it that you should elect me as your next Secretary of State? Well, I think there's two things. That in addition to being an advocate, I've been an advocate over the last 4 years for all of the citizens of Connecticut. I've also tried to run the Department of Consumer Protection very efficiently. Over this past year, I've saved the state alone $500,000. Over the course of the 4 years that I've been in office, I've saved the taxpayers millions of dollars. How have I done that? Well, the Department of Consumer Protection used to be a very paper-heavy kind of agency, and I've moved it in the direction of being a paperless agency. Well, how does that relate to the Secretary of State's office? The Secretary of State is the keeper under our state constitution of many state records. Well, if we had a Secretary of State who felt that paperless was the way to go, there are literally tens of millions of dollars in our state budget that could be saved. That is a direction that I will lead this state in. Secondly, the Secretary of State is the business registrar for the state of Connecticut. Well, over consumer protection, we do business licensing. If you want to be a plumber, an electrician, if you want to open a restaurant and get a liquor license, there's a host of licenses that you would get from the state of Connecticut. Well, I understand, having been in my position the last 4 years, that if people want to open businesses, the state needs to act quickly and expeditiously to get people through the process. And the Secretary of State's office, sure, they'll take your paperwork, they'll take your money, they may wave goodbye to you right now, but I believe in a more activist Secretary of State's office. That certainly when you're walking in the door to form a new business here in Connecticut, which is a great thing, we want to give you all the tools that government has, whether it's how to get a tax ID number, how to apply for a small business loan. Those are all things that when you're touching the Secretary of State's office as someone who's a new entrepreneur, that we should get you in touch with. So those are a couple of reasons why you should elect me, and the enthusiasm that I have for this position on November 2nd. And I look forward to seeing you at this and some other events. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Also running for Secretary of State on the Democratic and Working Families ticket is Merrill.
Happy Senior Center Month. I understand this is the month that we honor senior centers, great example of community organizations that work. And thanks for having us all here today. There's a lot of us, I know. I'm Merrill. I am running for Secretary of State because I believe it is the most important job in government, and that is safeguarding our election system. We've had a Secretary of State for many years now, Susan Weissowitz, who's moving on. I was her vice chair of the Elections Committee many years ago in the legislature, and I always thought if she vacated the office that it would be something I'd love to do. I started out in politics pretty much as president of the local PTA. I'm from Mansfield, right up the street, and I considered that a public service, actually. And I went on and I was on a local board of education, and then I served in the legislature for many years. I'm known for my work on many issues, including results-based accountability. It's very interesting to hear all the discussion this morning about accountability, saving money, streamlining government, all of which, of course, we need to do. But I'm here campaigning on a message of positive. Connecticut needs to get moving. And I will agree with my friend Edith Craig over there, who said, we need to work together. And that is the message. There are solutions out there to these many problems we have. And one of them is streamlining government. We should be working hard on that. And I could use my results-based accountability system to do exactly that. We all know that that's going to happen. As Secretary of the State, that would be my first priority, would be streamlining the agency, including the election system. We could do a lot to get the election system to be more streamlined, to make it easier to vote. And by the way, we have a whole new generation of citizens who need to understand their responsibility as citizens. You know, this next generation doesn't have the same point of view on some of this. We need to work hard on that. That's what I did before I came in the legislature, is I ran a citizenship education program. I taught about law and government, and I'd like to continue to do that. We have to preserve our wonderful system of government and make sure that we have a better voting turnout than the 25% that we saw in the primary. And people ask all over the state, why is that? Why was the turnout so low? I think that all the negativity that's out there, and you saw it in the campaign ads and everywhere else, are destructive to our democracy. So I'm also campaigning on a message of civility. Let's bring civility back to the discourse. Let's talk together to get solutions to the problems that we in this state and this country have. Very admittedly so. It's a global economic meltdown. We've got to deal with it. And that's why I also would bring to the Secretary of State's office my experience working on bringing small business to Connecticut and helping them stay here. This last year I worked on a job growth bill that brought incentives to businesses to hire, to keep people on the payroll. We need jobs in this state. Every single agency is going to have to be brought to bear on that problem, in as much as state government can do what it can. I just spoke with a woman who's bringing her company to Branford, Connecticut as a direct result of some of the incentives that we put in place. It can be done. She's coming here because she sees Connecticut as a great place to be. It's got smart people, educated people, and a high-tech environment around Yale and UConn that could work for her. So that's the kind of thing we need to be thinking about. I will do what I can as Secretary of the State to make that small business function come alive and help us out of this crisis. And I would commit to you, I will do what I've done everywhere else. Every day of my life, I get up and work for the people of the state, and I will continue to do that as long as I'm able. Thank you very much.